unless you're naked, because it just makes me happy to see people where they are. If you're naked, not weird, it's fine. You do you, just maybe not on the camera. Niccole's probably never gonna want to do this with me again if that's how I'm opening. But I also want to make the disclaimer, and everyone can laugh because I do use oils and they do help me. I can't breathe and I have pollen coating every surface of my house and my hair and my body. So if I douse myself with lavender vitality often in my mouth, that is normal. It's okay. Don't be alarmed. It is going to be on my faves list that we're going to work through in just a few minutes. But I want to introduce my amazing friend, Niccole Perez, and tell you a funny backstory. So, Niccole and I did not know each other, and we did a wild fast track. I feel like she wants to forget this moment, but it was the best moment ever. When I first started Young Living, I had no idea what I was doing. I hit silver and did not know April Pointer, and she posted, "Who wants to do this call? I have one of my rock star gold leaders that's going to lead us in how to incentivize people to get to silver. We need someone who wants to talk about incentivizing stars." And without thinking, I'm like, I'll do, yeah, I will clearly do that. It was like 60 days into me doing the business. And I was like, I'm so good at this, I will share away. And I had no idea, but I was such a big fangirl of Niccole that she said Niccole. And I was like, I would like to be her friend, even though neither one of these people know me. Literally, I was like, but they look cool. The way I chose my enroller, Tracy, was because she looked cool and had a cool hat and had 3 boys. So I figured I might as well pick my future Young Living friends by how cool they looked and how weird it was for me to stalk them. So if that is uncomfortable for any of y'all, it shouldn't be, because you should do that because you have to visualize what you want your future to be like. And I wanted them to not just think I was awesome, but actually get to know how unawesome I was and then accept me anyway. So that was my randomness of that thought. But the connection to all of that is that Niccole and I have gotten to do lots of brainstorming together about different things, and we work very differently. And we also think similarly but work differently. And the reason that's beautiful is that you're going to get to hear her organizational structure that I know Tracy is going to love and wish that I brought more up to the table. But that's why we have friends here tonight, guys, right? So we're all friends. And then hopefully I will be able to fill in some gaps with it too and have fun. But I am just honored to have her leading us through a lot of this tonight. We know it's going to be a back and forth for a lot of us, but she is such an inspirational leader, and she is just tenacious and beautiful, and someone that I know loves her team and puts her whole heart into everything she does. So I'm thankful for that. I also know that she's sleeping very infrequently, and it's dinner time at her house right now. So all of those, impressed with that, because it is really hard for me to do 6 p.m. at my house. Can I get anybody on the East Coast saying that? 9 p.m. I'm like, yes. I'm like, thank you, Jesus. Everyone's asleep. I'm in my office. I am away from my family. So early in the night, it is hard. Yes. Actually, yeah. See, Tracy has an even better thing for y'all to remember her for, because Dory is on here too. Is it GSR? Propel. So we have a whole system that you two created together. We have Niccole created the Propel book, and that system that our team has used often. And I share stuff from her all the time. I love it. And I'm so honored to be able to partner together. So can we have some fun? Because I'm actually going to let Niccole introduce our first thing we're going to do is I think we're going to give away free stuff. Like, I'm pretty sure that's what we're doing. I'll stop talking.
You're
Niccole,
muted.
I'm trying.
Was I muted that whole time?
Yeah.
That whole. This is what happens when you put 2 blue leaders on a call together. That's fantastic. I promise I'm only drinking kombucha in this cup. Okay, hi, it's awesome to be here with y'all. Such an honor to work with Tracy and Ashley again. I know some of y'all from Summer Hustle that we've done, and I have such mad respect for both Tracy and Ashley. Tracy's brain and the way that her brain works and functions. Like, I sit at like kitchen counters with her and I'm just like jaw dropped, and I'm like typing notes fast and like, repeat it. Absolutely brilliant mind. And Ashley, her passion, her love, just her complete dedication to loving people well. Just really has encouraged me for years and years and years and years and years on. And she's so much fun. Okay, so I'm so happy to be here, and we're gonna do a giveaway. Okay, so what I want everyone to do is I want you to open up the chat feature, because when we do our team calls, we always tell people the chat is where it's at. Because I love when people like chat over in the chat section and throw out thoughts and ideas. And tonight is about brainstorming. Tonight is about hearing from other people. It's about working together to help you navigate the super rad new approach that Young Living is like handing us. Young Living is handing us like OGV on a silver platter, and it's like, go do your thing. And so anyway, what I want you to do is in the chat feature, I want you to type out the last oil that you used, no cheating, and I want you to share what you used it for. Easy enough, right? Just what you used it for, so that we can all learn from each other, have fun with it. The chat feature isn't going up on social media. Share as freely as you want. And then Ashley and I will choose two winners, two people. We're going to send you a gift when all is said and done. So yay for that. Ashley, are we jumping right in?
Niccole, I just have to say, because it's fun to learn the new verbiage, we're going to give you a gift without purchase, because our new way of getting our ER promos is a gift with purchase. So we're going to give you a gift without purchase. Nobody else finds that comical, because I think it's funny, because it makes me feel like I work in a department store where like I used to buy Clinique as a teenager, and it was like your gift with purchase, and it was literally on like a silver platter. That's what I feel like anymore. I'm like, you will get this with your purchase, but it's going to be a gift without purchase. So I think we're going to jump right in, but I want to ask that you're ready to work. I like to dance and move around. I have a really hard time working without it being auditory and kinesthetic and visual, like all the things. So what I want you to do is you might need to write or type, depending on how you're going to do this with, if you didn't prepare any with worksheets, or if you just want to take notes, if you want to take notes as in like chatting, but I just want to ask that your full attention be here as much as you can, but we want you to have fun. So we might have some dance parties intermittently. I don't know if that's cool with you guys, but we might have to do it. So Niccole's really going to lead us through this is her system she's created to help us brainstorm how to talk best about our favorite things, so that we can get that increase in OGV and also like figure out who we are in this business. I mean, it really truly is that.
I love it. Okay, so some of y'all that are part of my crew, you've heard this in bits and pieces, or maybe we've had a call, whatever, you've been on one of our Zooms. But tonight I'm excited to just lay some things out, because we have a couple weeks to really prepare with our plan and say, how are we going to navigate this super like stellar. I'm so pumped, y'all. I am so stinking pumped about the new ways that people can get started. So quick, just as a super fast refresher, starting on May 1st, people can get started in one of two new ways. We will still have our premium starter kits for a while, have the premium starter kits that people can get started with, right? But then the other thing that Young Living has said, the second way that we can get started now is by people getting started on Subscribe and Save. So they could get started with a bottle of lavender. They just have to commit to a product every 1 to 3 months. 1, 2, or 3 months, and they can change that within the 3 months in order to maintain that subscription, right? The third way that people can get started is by spending 100 PV, and this is where we're really going to hit the topics hard tonight, because this is powerful. I don't know about y'all, but over the years, I've personally been really overwhelmed by what to share, when to share it, and how often to keep things in front of people, because we know that it takes 7 points of contact in marketing for people to see a product and buy it, right? Like, oh yeah, I saw her post that, now I want it. And so with products, with a product line, it's hundreds and hundreds of products, it's hard to narrow it down. And then we had this like lovely aspect of needing to convince them to buy a $165 kit in order to get the bottle of Progestins Plus at 24% off, or to get oils for their hormones, or get the skincare line, or whatever that might be, right? So starting May 1st, big game changer. So tonight, the point of the conversation is how to narrow down what it is you are going to talk about. You, not the whole group as a like collectively, right? But what are your passions? So I want to encourage the first group of people, and that's maybe somebody who's just gotten started. You are a brand new person. Maybe you have 4 or 5 products that you really, really love because you've had an experience with those products, right? That's going to be where I suggest that you really just hone in and focus, because when we speak with passion, when we are confident that people need these products in our home, it's no longer about sales, right? We're like, oh my goodness, Juliana, you need this product because of X, Y, and Z. And we're just we're not even being mindful about like, oh gosh, does Juliana have, the $38 for the Progestins Plus or however much it is now, right? We're just like, oh my gosh, no, you have to have it. It becomes like this point of passion. But now if you've been using products for a while and you have, every room of your house, you have oils, you have soaps, you have lotions, you have all the things that you supplements, of course, supplements, right? You're like, okay, where do I start? So if you had a chance to print out, I talk fast, y'all. If this is your first experience with me, I'm sorry. Okay, so if you had a chance to print out these 2 worksheets, I want to explain how to use them. I did this on my own. I've done it with a few other people. I know that it works. So hear me out. The first one that we're going to start with is know your passions. And at the top, you'll see that it just says categories. What I want to encourage you to do, maybe you've already done it. If you've already done it, put it in the chat feature, okay? Put it over in the chat. I want you to write out anywhere from 3 to 5 things that you could talk about without any preparation. This could be even y'all how cute your kids are, okay? Don't overthink this. It could be about pets. It could be about clean beauty. It could be about, toxin-free cleaning. It could be hormones, gut health, emotions, oils of scripture, raindrop, like literally just what lights you up? What are you excited to talk about when you have a chance? Like, okay, so that's what you're going to write. Up to 5 things across. Again, don't feel pressure. If you're new, it could just be one category. It could be your story. And whatever that story is, it could be sensory needs kids, right? Don't stress. Then underneath, I want you to write, or what you'll do is you'll choose anywhere from 3 to 6 products to put on those lines. And so that's what fits underneath that category. So, for example, on gut health, I could talk nonstop about Essential Times 4, Life 9, and Digest. Like I live by those 3 products, right? So it doesn't have to be the full 6, but it's things that you're like, oh my gosh, you convince everybody to buy. Doesn't matter if you would get PV from it, right? And then you're just gonna go down the categories and you're gonna write those products. And I actually wanna challenge you, don't overthink it, because the less you're in your head, the more you're like, oh, I could talk about that. I could talk about that. Don't worry about if you're forgetting a product at this point, okay? Just what is your gut instinct? What are the products that you love? Now this bottom section, I'll show you mine in a second, so don't get overwhelmed. This bottom section is where you're gonna do crossovers, because what we see time and time again is that, so here's mine. Mine's like all color coded with a little coffee stain on it because I have a newborn and I'm living off of coffee. So anyway, I have mine all color coded under here. And what you begin to see is that if I'm talking about gut health, I also have to talk about sulfurzyme and frankincense, which I originally put underneath clean beauty. But I also have to talk about Super B, Ningxia Red, and multigreens, which I originally put underneath energy, because that all affects gut health, right? And so I also put the feelings kit because I had emotions as one of my categories, and then CBD, citrus. And so that also goes underneath gut health. And what you begin to see is with all of these crossovers underneath is that you have some categories that are much longer. As you can see, my clean beauty, hormones, and emotions are much longer, right? And that's all just products from up above. Is that making sense so far? Okay. Because then what you'll find with that, now we're getting into the second worksheet. I know I'm blasting through this because I want to hear from other people. This is not the Niccole show. I want to hear like what questions y'all have, what you're excited about, your topics, all of that. Okay, so the second worksheet that y'all had now has primaries, secondaries, and then still has the crossovers at the bottom. What is this about? So the primaries are your 3 main subjects that you're going to talk about. So for me, it was not just the topics that I had the longest categories or like the longest list of products. It's what I'm most passionate about Because again, when we speak from a place of passion, it makes us want to post. It makes us want to host classes. It makes us want to talk to the person standing in the coffee shop with us, right? So it's not just about the category with the most amount of products. It's what we're most passionate about. So those become your 3 primaries. Then what happens is you find that your secondaries often line up with your primaries. Let me give you an example. If I'm talking about hormones, which I'm crazy passionate about, I'm so passionate about helping women have balanced hormones, right? I have to talk about clean beauty, which is one of my secondary topics. So if I'm doing a post about ladies, progestins plus balancing your obviously your progesterone levels, I have to talk about what we're putting on our skin, what we're putting on our neck for our creams, how that affects the thyroid, how it affects the pituitary, how it affects the hypothalamus. I have to go there. My team knows this. I go off on rabbit trails when I get fired up about hormones or about emotions, right? But when we're talking about hormones, I'm also talking about energy. Because if you've ever had hormonal imbalance, you know you have zero energy. What else do we talk about when we have hormones? Emotions, right? We have to talk about gut health with hormone imbalance. So you'll start to find that all of your passions begin to cross over, and you can combine secondary topics with your primary. So your messaging is still the same, which I'll talk about in a second, to your people. And you're still putting the same like 15 products, which again are just all the products up here, right? So again, when you see all this, it can look a little overwhelming, but these are our main products that we're focusing on, especially underneath this primary section. So when I'm bringing in secondary, it's, oh, let's talk about Progestins Plus today and a beauty boost. Does that make sense? So you can still pull. It's not like you're only isolated to, 5 products under each category. On average, you're going to have about 15 products that you are totally geeked out on that have a ton of crossover that you are putting in front of people constantly, which is going to be huge with this new model going forward. Is you have to know who your market is. You have to know what your message is, because when we talk to everyone, we talk to no one, right? And so if I am, having my presence even on social media, even to promote my classes or promote my workshops in person, I might be teaching the same 3 to 5, again, subjects all the time, because I can't do it all. Like I can't possibly be the person that is, teaching all the things. And that's where it like becomes super beneficial to work with other friends who are passionate about other topics, and you can pull on other people's strengths and what they're passionate about, because it's obvious, even if you don't know a person, when they're speaking with passion, right? When they're speaking from a place of emotion, or that's their story, so they care more, right? They're going to be more convincing, like, okay, you have to get this, because they believe in it so strongly. So that's the explanation of the worksheets. Like I said, I know that I blasted through. Ashley, Tracy, thoughts, inserts, questions?
I was just going to say, I love how you're defining the primaries as not necessarily like where you're seeing the most amount of products or content. It's what you're passionate about. And I feel like that really carries through into sharing very authentically. When you feel passionate, it just comes very easy. But I think this is such a brilliant system that you came up with. Thank you for sharing.
Oh, thank you.
Those of you that like to write things down, I think this will be so helpful because you'll feel like it's clear and clean. Those of you raising my hand that I don't even have any paper but these papers around me. This is pitiful. I'm like, what do I have around me that's on paper? But I love this because I sometimes forget, and maybe it sounds silly, but anybody else with me, I forget what I love the most when for so many years I have decided that I love the PSK the most. Like that's what I've decided, because everything I do is around it, that I love it the most. So it's not what's your favorite Young Living product, but I'm like, my favorite, right? The angle I've always been like, I love peppermint and lemon in the diffuser in the morning. I love frankincense on my face and raven on my chest. Oh, it's the greatest thing first thing in the morning. That is true. That is not untrue. But what is more true for me is actually in the morning, my routine involves way more products that support me working out. And then after also focusing on like journaling and Bible study, like in the morning. Like those are what happens first thing for me. And they aren't those oils. And at night, Endoflex and Progestins Plus and my toothpaste are actually what I use more than lavender. Like, I don't know how else to say that, but I hope that releases you in a way where you're like, okay, let me breathe and reset. I talk fast too, like Niccole, but I slow myself down when I want to yell. Like, I feel like I'm yelling. I won't feel like I'm like, guys, but really that's what I feel like. I'm like, do you realize the freedom you are about to experience? Because the freedom is you can talk about freaking Super Bee if you want to, and you don't have to talk about Citrus Fresh 18 million thousand times this month. Like you can forget Citrus Fresh exists if you want to. That's okay. And it's also okay. I'm going to give you permission. If Ningxia Red isn't on every one of your categories, that might not be normal for all of us, but some of y'all, that might not be your thing. And that might have felt like it had to be, if that makes sense. So I just have found freedom in this, and I can't wait to give it away to so many people. So I just kind of wanted to say that before. I know we want to, Niccole, right? I want to hear like your actual processing, where you are, what your thoughts are, and what your categories are. Because some of y'all are typing stuff in the chat that I'm like, I didn't even know that. Like, I didn't even know that was an option. I want to learn from them. It's so cool. Maybe.
Is anyone brave enough to share? If not, I see somebody who I'm going to call on. She knows who she is too.
Maybe she doesn't. I'm waiting. I was like, she's going.
She's giving me eyes. She knows who I'm talking about. Dory, you've been doing this for a while.
I was going to call Dory too. I wasn't. That would be totally mean, but I mean, I thought about it.
I knew it was coming. Yeah. All right. So one of my categories is absolutely going to be kids. Is this what you want me to do? Do you want me to tell you what mine is? Cool. So special needs kids, specifically those on the spectrum or ADD, ADHD. So kind of all of those brain things that we're working on. So my top one that I'm going to be talking about would be Sulfurzyme, Ningxia, Mighty Pro, which are great because they're consumables. And I put this in the chat, but the oils are not consumables. We build our businesses by having people get the consumables because they have to get them every single month. So they're never going to get off Essential Rewards once they fall in love. So anyways, yeah, Mighty Pro, what did I say? Mighty Pro, Ningxia, Sulfurzyme. And then when it comes to oils, I would probably put on there for us, White Angelica, frankincense, because it's a great brain one. And this is one that I honestly would probably change it depending on how I was feeling at that time. But then I'd have 3 oils and 3 supplements there.
I love it. Y'all, consumables are where it's at. If that term like is brand new to you, it's supplements. It's 300 drops lasts a long time is what we tell people often, right? You can stretch this bottle of oil so far. But supplements and helping people feel their best and truly dealing with root causes and not just slapping a Band-Aid on issues is really one of the best ways that we can serve and help people, right? So supplements, huge advocate. I know Dory's order, because we've talked about it often. Most of my order, most of Dory's orders, it's vast majority of it supplements at this point.
Oh, it's almost all. The oils that I get are the free with purchase, the gift with purchases, which is I agree, Ashley. I love saying it. I will say, so this is actually, I know, I feel like I'm Vanna White. So this is actually how I've been running my business the last year. I've just been doing it with the basic kits. I still will talk about the PSK, which is fine because it's a good collection if people want to start with oils, but I get people on the basic and then we customize their kit. So I'm excited because they save $35. So I think that it's going to be great. But what I have done, and Niccole and I worked on this, it's the brochures that we have, the Your Essentials brochures. So if you are feeling like super stuck and you're not knowing where to go, I use these brochures every time I meet with someone new, because it outlines like, hey, if you're feeling stressed, here are some options for you. So you don't have to necessarily come up with those if you're feeling really stuck. So just a plug in there.
Can I ask you a question about a next category and then crossover? Because I think that walking through someone how to do that, that was hard for me. Because I wrote down, I mean, I'll just say, so for me, I wrote down like, I felt like it was a lame category, but it's like actually true. I really talk to so many people that do not know that their toothpaste is bad and their shampoo is bad and their hand soap is bad. So like a literal category for me is everyday swaps. And then I have another one that I like that one does not feel like a passion. It feels like an impulse. Like it feels like it's, because it's something I'm so passionate about, it turns out to be something that seems so easy and straightforward. That's not a lot of education, but it's really like, here's this and this, right? And so that would be something I don't feel like it's a lot of teaching, but then I love to teach about fitness and health and like how to really support your body and support it as you age. So not really beauty, but it goes into that whole, like my category. I mean, my list was so long. And so finding crossover. So Dory, I think I was asking you because for me, that was finding crossover, that it wasn't just all ended up the same, right? That I could eventually be like, they all cross over. Everything is on the crossover. And then it made it not narrow my list down. So just wondering if you or if someone else wants to talk about initial thought, like you're doing it tonight, how did you find the crossover? Because that is going to help us narrow. And I love Niccole walked me through this and I'm like, that helps my brain because now I can not feel bad about taking away certain things, but feel really good about what I do have.
Yeah. So let me slow down a little bit and get more specific. So with crossovers, y'all, I'm going to hold again, coffee stain. So funny. So you'll see, I don't have a ton listed underneath hormones. Those were just the first few products that came to my mind that I knew I could sell anyone on, and not sell them to make a buck, but because I'm truly convinced that every person needs these things, right? So like under hormones, I have progestins plus sclerosins and endoflex, in case anyone's wondering, right? The second category, is technically, obviously, y'all, it's more than one thing, but it's the feelings kit. I could talk about emotions and frequencies and from a biblical perspective and the oils in the feelings kit. I mean, for an hour straight, no notes. It's just who I am. And again, if you're hearing this and you're like, oh my gosh, I couldn't talk about fitness like Ashley does, or I couldn't talk about feelings the way that Niccole does, or I couldn't talk about that. That's not the point. The amount of products is not the point. Your story, which we're going to talk about on the 20th. Ashley and I are coming back together. We're bringing our crews back together on the 20th. And we're going to be talking about how to share your story, how to bring that, like your story into a format where you can share this way. So this is just the building block, y'all. This is kind of laying the foundation. We're coming back with the how-to on the 20th. So mark your calendars, okay? And so anyway, then, and I'm just going to stick with my first few categories. So then I have gut health, which again, I already told y'all, it's only 3 products. So now when I'm getting into crossovers underneath hormones, I have all of the things that I didn't list above. So again, I only have 3 to 5 like products up here. There's not a lot happening. But then when I'm going, I'm saying, okay, let's get real about, like Ashley said, I'm not doing all the products. I'm saying, what am I really passionate about? What have I done the research on? Or what do I want to know more about? So underneath hormones, I have Beauty Boost. I have Sulfurzyme. I have frankincense. I have the face wash, because again, what we put on our skin matters. I have gut health, I have energy, and I have the feelings kit, because all of those things affect hormones. So it's not new products. All I did is pull the products from the top part of the worksheet and put it under here so that I know if I'm talking about hormones, here's all of the products that I could talk about. So this helps me if I go to teach a workshop. This literally, y'all, gives me basically 5 different posts right out of the gate, 5 different directions I can go during a hormones class, which is spectacular without overwhelming people. So I can say, ladies, if you know your hormones are jacked up because of your gut health, then maybe you start with these 3 products and then the 3 products underneath gut health, right? So it's not trying to convince everybody for all the products. It's saying, here's how I'm piecing this together. Did that answer your question, Ashley, about where the crossovers are coming from? So it's not a whole new list. And you can see I color coded it so that you can see which section I pulled from to put in the list below. Questions, thoughts, feedback? Have I overwhelmed anybody? Need clarity?
We have an oil for that. It's called Clarity. Yeah. We have common sense oil too that I don't like to use, but probably need it. And we also have an oil Inner Child that is Niccole's favorite oil that she likes to use on the roof of her mouth and walk backwards. It's fine.
It works, y'all.
I know.
It's a Gary trick. I promise it works.
How many people, and I would love for someone to speak up and say, and just be real. I don't think anyone will, and I won't ask you to, but I want to just be in your space a little bit. This might feel really hard if you do not know what you're passionate about. And I know I kind of said that a few minutes ago, but like, I want you to really think about it. If you're sitting here going, I don't have a thing, like I don't have, or maybe I hear a lot of people on our team, at least, that'll say, I don't have some big story. Like, I don't have this. I had a problem and there was a need, and then the need was filled with this product, and here was the outcome. You might not have that story. You might have the story that's like, I was sick of toxins in my house just because I thought I should be sick of them, and I got the kit. Like, that might be your story, and that's okay. So if anybody is struggling to do that, I bet we could listen to you talk and we could tell you what you're saying is important to you. No one's going to do that.
I can just be real for a second and say that, hi, by the way, everyone. I can just say that I think I was guilty of like teaching to the PSK so much that that's where my brain goes. Like, here's all my favorites and here's all the ways I use those. So I literally, like, while you guys are talking about it and I have my sheets, I've literally just been like writing down and thinking like, what are my favorite products? Like, Ashley, you said you automatically are just like, oh, you need toothpaste. And so yeah, like in addition to. So I've literally just been sitting here like, what are my favorite products? Because I think that's going to help me speak to areas, because I want everybody to get everything all the time. And, when you use so many products, it's hard to tell people like where they need to start, right? Because I'm like, everything, you need everything, all of it. But I think that that's how I'm going through it. And I'm literally just listening. I have notes here, like, what are my absolute favorites that I would never be able to live without? And then I'm hoping that's going to help me make my primary, secondary from my favorites list. I'll let you know if I get there, but that's my plan.
I guess I'll ask you this, Niccole. I love stuff for my grandchildren. That's been my thing forever, but not everybody's a grandmother. And so I don't know where to go, or do I keep it that isolated for people, or do I use allergize. I lose all sorts of stuff myself. And again, the drinks, Ninja Red often goes everywhere. But am I limiting myself by talking about grandchildren with Kid Sense and seedlings?
No. How many mamas on this call, like literally do a show of hands or type like yes in the chat feature, wish that you had an older woman's advice on what to do with your babies? Like, there are so many mamas who are overwhelmed. Like, grandmas aren't sleep deprived the way that a new mama is, or somebody in their 40s isn't sleep deprived the way that a new mama is and doesn't have the capacity to research or to research toxins or all these things. They might want something different, but they don't know where to start. And so if you have the capacity to teach people who are in a different season than you, that is such a huge blessing to people who are like, we don't know which end is up, right? Like, we're spilling coffee all over our worksheets here. Just put it in front of me, like, teach me your ways. And so, no, I don't think that is too narrow of a market. Now, if you're only speaking to grandmas, maybe, but who are grandmas buying for? They're buying for the babies, right? Mm-hmm. And chances are you have your kids' friends who you follow and you engage with, and they're a part of your market, right? And so putting these products in front of them, is huge. And I love what Kimmy shared. Like, and Tracy said it in the chat, y'all, reverse engineering a goal or reverse engineering this is a really great thing to do. Like, you might not even start with this particular list. You might just get a notebook and write the products that you are obsessed with, and then figure out which categories they can fit under and where you might have crossover before you even do category, because you realize that, you know, going non-toxic, obviously, you know, having the toothpaste, having the hand soaps, having the lotions, the body washes, all of that affects many areas, and you want that to be your message. So that's a beautiful place to start. And it's literally just the backwards. It's not backwards wrong, it's backwards different, which is good. So
Can I ask you a story? I mean, a story. Can I ask you a question, Lizzie? Because Niccole, I think this is so cool because I don't know her and I think it's just neat to think about. I always wonder when people say, but this is my passion, or but this, because that happens to us a lot, right? Like kind of discount it. There has to be a root to that for you. And so I don't know if you know what that is, but like why it's your grandkids that you're like, they need this more than anyone else.
Because I put the lavender on my granddaughter's feet, the seedlings, and she would sleep through the night at the beginning when Erica was first, when Josie was the baby of the three, and this is her third child, and Josie was sleeping through the night. And why? Because she had seedlings.
Yep.
When Zeke got mosquito bites, we put Owie on it. So, and he got it to where he just put the drops on. Now with the roll on, I love it. And so he has his whole set of roll-ons for thinking with homeschool, with if he gets the sniffles, so he uses that all on his own now with his own roll-ons versus having to use the drops. And so, but I color coded like all the caps on the top so that he could get them. I was just making it easier for my daughter, who was, just bottom line overwhelmed, like Niccole said. And so it was everything I could do for my kids, and energy zing for my daughter so that she had some energy. And of course the Ninja Red. And I got hooked on the Ninja Red when Niccole did the glow, when I started Life 9 and Ninja and all that. So I was loving it. So I was having my daughter do it. And it's just, that's where it came from, is what I could do to help my daughter.
So think about that. You could help so many people with just knowing that it helped you and you wanted to help her. And I bet you have friends that are caring not just for babies, but I bet you have friends caring for parents. I bet you have friends caring for aging spouses. And they need to sleep and have good gut health and not have bug bites. And anyway, just my initial thought as soon as you said, what about grandmothers? Is there a market for that? I'm like, yeah, but what is it that you helped your grandkids with? Because I can guarantee there are people in your life stage and season that are not just moms of littles, that they could still know. Like there is a 40-year-old, a 50-year-old, a 60-year-old, a 70-year-old, a 90-year-old that needs better sleep. There may be a 20-year-old, but I feel like that's not true. Maybe there is. I don't know. Maybe there isn't. But just a thought. I think this, guys, if you can do that, actually get more in depth with another person, you will see your passions. And it can't all be your leader. That's not at all what I'm saying. That literally just like you can just be a person that also uses oils. So just have them hear you talk about kind of why you love our products, not your why for doing a business, but why you love our products. You'll get to your story. Like you're like, oh, I love things that support hormones. I always thought I loved things for my bathroom. Well, your bathroom isn't a passion, but your hormones can be. Yeah. Yeah. Anybody else? I would love to.
Hi, Ashley.
Hi.
This is Paula. I admit last year has been absolute heck on me. I am not a Facebook person. I am not a social media person. Will admit I hate it. I will do it, but I hate it. So to me, it's all face to face, and not being able to get together with all of my peeps. And we used to have classes once a week, once every other week, just to go over all the stuff. And we have them at my house. So all the stuff I've got in my house, I can bring out. So in the last couple of months, I've been getting back into it. I have not been one to share the PSK. I'll sell the PSK, but it hasn't been a push for me. It's all been about come over to the house, see what you like, see what you're interested in, and see what could help you. We do a lot of iToby scans. And so we go over what they see in their iToby scan. and talk about it. They get to smell it, sniff it, try it. And that has been what's worked for me.
So I just wanted to say, this is completely re-energizing me. The past year has been a struggle bus, for similar and different reasons that Paula just said. I am like a farmer's market person. Like that's where I meet all of my people, and they didn't happen last year. I've been living in my basement, teaching remotely for a year, finally back in school. So this is like amazing because I'm not tied to that PSK, because that is where the focus was when I was doing cold market events, trying to meet people. And my mind is blown with figuring out now. You have helped me tonight so much. Like, target you, like target the things you know, target that, create bundles. And my mind is like spitting now. I have like so many amazing ideas for when my farmer's market starts June. I mean, it starts the first weekend of June. So this is like perfect timing for me. And I love that system of you don't have to know it all. And we've always said that to everybody. But I was freaking out personally when I've heard the PSKs leaving. It's like, well, wait, now what do I do? What am I going to do at an event? How am I going to make this work? And now I can make this work. Like, I am so excited by this. So thank you guys. I really appreciate it for this like narrowing when my head was like exploding. So I love it.
Yeah, I think the in-person thing has been hard this year. I don't want to like not acknowledge that because I am an in-person person, and it's been weird because the same people that show up in person don't show up online. And I don't know if y'all found that, but like my local team kind of comes to some stuff online. They'll watch replays, but it's not the same as having 50 people at my house or having an event at our wine bar we used to every month. It has not been the same. And getting those connections back has been interesting. So we've baby stepped back into it. And I want to encourage you, if you feel comfortable doing that, we didn't for a season. I'll just be real. We tried some things and it was like funky still, and people were a little weird, and we've done some stuff outside again. And I live in Virginia. So I would say it's different everywhere you live. But for us, people have still been very cautious. And now I think finally don't care and are coming to our events. So I had an event, I think it took until this month. So I had an event outside, like a driveway DIY. That was really cool. It is a great idea to replace the traditional in-person. Just fun, people drop by. Rachel and I paid for everything. And what I mean is we wanted it to be free. We did not want it to be a ticket event. We wanted to kind of scale so that on the spring launch, April 17th, I'm having a brunch. You bring your own dish. If you don't want to bring a dish, or you don't want to eat, or you don't want to get that close to people, you don't have to, but we're going to be just like spaced apart in my living room, and it's capped at 25 people. And we're doing it that way. And then on the 26th of this month, we're doing an event that is max capacity for the 75% capacity at a restaurant, where you're seated in your seat. You can choose who you're sitting with, and we're doing back to a normal workshop. So just thinking about that, just I guess based off what Paula said, I would really feel at your community, because I've just seen people hurting for it so much. And I've also seen that a lot of us that have shared online more than ever in the past 14 or 15 months, it might not reflect in our business, but it probably reflects in our hearts, the change that's had to happen. So don't allow this call specifically, like this is not just for social media. This is for you having a class at your kitchen table, at a coffee shop, and you sitting down and saying, okay, just the same way. I mean, I've had so many, I had a hair and hormones class years ago that I loved. It was so much fun. We've done guts and butts classes online. Well, like, I don't know if I really want to say that at my house, but I probably should, and I don't want to teach it. So maybe Tracy or Niccole can teach it, but it's fine, because the whole thing is, what this will open you up to doing is a hybrid model of your business that will probably feel freeing to you, where you can do things in person. You've now learned some online stuff you might not have been good at before. And so don't let that slip. But please, please, if you built this business in person because you loved it, don't think you cannot do that anymore. You can, and you can adapt, and you can change, and you will be able to do it. That is not what this call is about, but it's really important that you leave this and not think this sheet is now what your social media posts are, because that's not at all the message.
No,
Sorry.
y'all, I want to be so sorry, Ashley. I like totally jumped in because I'm like, no, like if that's the message you heard, this is not about social media. I haven't built on social media. I totally stink at social media. The only reason why I have the amount of followers that I have on social media is because of y'all going friend requesting me. So no, this is literally how I taught for the year before COVID started in person. Dory mentioned those brochures. I did like the good, better, best using brochures. So I would be like, oh, right. I would sit everybody down at a table and be like, where do we want to start? Well, I would have people say like out of 9 different categories, what were the things that they cared more, like most about. They would say like the subject, if it was skincare, we would start there. So I would talk about some of the products that were in the premium starter kit. And then we also had the section for supplements and lifestyle as well. So I was saying, hey, I can't talk about skincare because this is true to me and like my core values. I couldn't pigeonhole starting like a year before COVID started. I had a really strong conviction about not pigeonholing the PSK into every topic. I knew that people needed more than just the PSK if they wanted to experience true life transformation, which we all know as well, right? Like it was just the best value for people to get started in Young Living. So that's how people got started. And so for me, I would talk to people and be like, yeah, these products are great for skincare in our premium starter kit, but we also need to talk about gut health. We need to talk about Life 9. We need to talk about digestive enzymes, like just straight up, right? And so this model, this method is literally how I built In Person in a brand new market in California. And it went over really, really, really well. And I'm going to tell you what happened, y'all. I was speaking on the products that I absolutely love and I absolutely use. And so the conversations were very natural. People had questions, I had answers. If I didn't have answers, I would like literally show them how to do a Google image search right there in the class. Here's how I find answers, right? No, like this is not a social media. I'm not saying it obviously could be used on social media, but this is literally how I've been building in multiple formats, in person, one-on-ones, over phone calls, in one-on-one Zooms for the last 2 years. So, which again, on the 20th, on 4/20, Ashley and I are coming back together and we will talk about those different ways, those different categories that we're going to really go after this, what it looks like to teach this. We're going to get into the nitty gritty. We might even do some fun role playing. I might bring a wig out. I don't know. It could be fun. So yeah, please don't think that this is just social media. I went off for a long time about that, but I just want to stress that this is not just social media. Sorry, I'm reading the chat. Anybody have questions, thoughts, want to chime in? Ashley, Tracy, somebody?
I just wanted to acknowledge that it's okay to be sad about the PSK. I feel like we've kind of keep saying like, oh, you don't have to like PSK, but it's okay to be a little bit sad. I do love the PSK. That's not all I was saying. I just think it's a little bit funny when people say that like, I want great skin. And we're like, frankincense is so good for your skin. Like it is like Spanx in a bottle, coined by Tracy. And like, then you're like, you could add on a skincare regimen to your first Essential Rewards order, but you don't have to today. But you could also like it kind of, we just bought a car last week and it kind of reminded me of that. Where they're like, this is the model you want. I'm like, that's what I want. They're like, but you could also get this. And I'm like, yeah, I don't really want that, but I'm interested in this. And it's not bad, but it just always left me back to, I told him what I wanted. So he didn't show me a different car. He never went to, your family would fit better in this. You know what I mean? And he could have probably, but I told him this is what I want. And we only had so much wiggle room a little bit. So in other markets, I typed this on the chat, and I don't know if anybody else builds internationally. I know some people I'm seeing from my team do, but everyone on here build internationally. Most of our markets, you do not have to start with a PSK. You can start with a 100 PV order, and that will allow you to become a distributor because they're still under the old comp plan. Like they still will be even when the US switches over for at least the rest of 2021 for all international markets as I know of right now. And then they'll begin being switched out. But what happens is, those people, my team in a couple different countries, when we teach a class, they are okay with teaching a class about CBD, even if they don't have a CBD kit, because they just need 100 PV. they will teach a thieves class because they'll teach a healthy home class, even when their market doesn't have a thieves kit. Does that make sense? So these are even generic topics where I'm saying, so for them teaching a like new year, new you class, it's not like a buy the PSK and use some drops of lemon in your water. And also you might lose some weight along the way if you eliminate toxins. It's not that. They can say specifically the products in their market that equal 100 PV bundles, because that's how people were getting access to the discount before. So that mindset has helped me a lot because I've always thought it was fun. Like I've had fun with them doing that because it's going to be a lot easier for us to build internationally if you're US based, because that is the way the mindset works in many of our markets. Not all, but I think it's like 70% of them are 100 PV based and not PSK based. So I think that's going to be fun for all of us because I know that's something that when you start it is overwhelming, and the more clear it can be in your head, the easier it will be when you start to try to talk to different people, especially if you are building on social media and maybe you have someone from another country that's like, oh, that's awesome, I want to get started. And you're like, hey, well, by the way, here's the 85 different things you do in your market. So I think it's going to help us with that unity piece a little more. What else? Do we have any men on here? I don't think so, right? No. I just thought this would be a fun exercise to do with men because I think their topics tend to be more focused than women because we have more of a product selection. And I just would find it super intriguing to see this worksheet in the mind of random man working through it and what passionate subject. So if anybody has, that sounds awkward. I was like, if anyone has a man, that's not what I mean. I mean, if anyone has someone on their team that ends up working through that, I think it would be a really cool thing to share to see where the mindset went and what areas, and if it was the same or totally different.
I was actually going to say, I think this is going to open up a whole new opportunity arena for us, because think about this, like when my husband's out surfing with friends, he's not like, hey, dude, friend, who's a fellow surfer, you should get this premium starter kit. I mean, he's like, I love this Ninja Red stuff, this like Zing and Nitro, right? He uses his Cool Azul pain cream, like just the guy stuff. And he can now recommend that to his guy friends. So I think it's really just going to open it up. I think we've all just been down this, like, this is the funnel. It's the basic kit or the premium starter kit. Those are your options. Okay, there's other starter kits you can go with, but I think we've just been so used to that funnel system that it's, you know, at first I'm like, wait, how do we do this? What's going on? So a little bit of processing time. I certainly needed it myself, but once I understood, I was like, oh my gosh, we can do anything. And like I said, as you're talking to other people about this, like other members on your team, when I was talking to my sister about it, she was like, oh my gosh, do you know how many people just want the one thing or the two things? It's going to be so easy. Here's my QR code. Go get it. Here, here, here. And in particular, for any of you who do like craft fairs or vendor events, it's just going to make it so easy. You know what? You're in the pickup line, or I don't know how that's going to look like now for school, but like you're randomly talking to another mom, right, at school. Here's a sign up link. Just go grab it. It'll be so much easier rather than the, okay, so first you have to get the starter kit. And let me explain to you in 5 minutes how to sign up for the starter kit. Like no more of that. It's just going to make it so easy. But I so appreciate the worksheet that Niccole created. And I think you can go either way, like what Ashley was saying, right? So you can go by your passions and kind of think about it that way, and then feel out the products to sort of back it up. One of mine is healthy swaps. And I was doing this even before I got into oils, because for us, it was food, right? Like how to make healthy swaps. So instead of like high fructose corn syrup, we'd like to do raw honey, right? Like, so healthy swaps is kind of a big thing for me, but whatever those passions are for you, I think that's a great way to kind of get started and think about the products that you might want to promote, because you can just easily talk about it. You likely are using it now, but then reverse engineering it as well. I can't remember who said it earlier, but I love that idea of like, what are your top 10 favorite products and why? And I think be strategic, like what Dory was saying. You may have heard us on our team, and Niccole's team probably has talked about this as well. You can see I'm trying to make a triangle with my hands, right? We talk about this with our members, right? The wellness triangle, where at the top, there's some oils in there, but really the bulk of our order is going to be ditch and switch. And then the bottom primary thing that we're ordering is supplements. So for me, there are consumables, there are things that you need to replace every month. Like that's going to be a big part of what I'll be recommending if I talk about gut, mood, skincare, anything, right? I'm going to be thinking about consumables and then supporting oils. Yes, but so many consumables. So it just really is getting us to think so much broader and not feeling like we're pigeonholed into just doing that kit, which is awesome.
Can we do something fun before we leave? Is everybody okay with fun? So I want you to right now, as fast as you can, find a song that matches your number one passion area. Okay, so YouTube, maybe, hey, I love all the people. I love all the greens that are like, oh, we thought she was kind of cool and that's whack. Like literally the faces of people that are like, oh. So, oh my gosh, there are so many sex talks in the chat. I really think that there must be a lot of people who want to talk about sex as one of their passion topics. I don't know how that's going to work out for you.
Okay.
Maybe it's just because it's nighttime.
I have to laugh because my husband, as soon as you said that, he got his phone, he started looking, and I was about to type, feel like making love or let's get it on.
No. You have to play it. No, Robin, this is a party. My butt hurts from sitting so much for the past hour. So we're going to dance to our song. Everyone's going to dance at the same time. Okay. That's what we're doing right now. And it's going to be a party. I know Tracy and Niccole might be embarrassed by my behavior, but they really love me so much. They're going to forgive me for it. So I don't even know what Vacation by Dirty Heads is. You have to play the song. No, what I feel like everyone, are y'all getting ready and we'll just unmute at the same time and dance? Is this appropriate? Are we allowed to do this? Or are some of y'all not thinking it's fun? I think Niccole is going to play because you're nursing, right? You're going to play My Milkshake Brings. You
guys hear that?
Unmute. I don't even have a song yet. Unmute, everybody. It's just Niccole? This is lame. I can't even dance. I'm sitting. I got to move.
All right, it's somebody else's turn.
I thought we were all just going to do it. What is going on? Just one big party. Where are the blues at? I thought you were just talking.
I'm on vacation every single day.
Oh, I did that song.
Hey, I'm on vacation every single day because I love my occupation. Every single day.
Yes. Who else has it?
Every single day.
All right. I'm going to count down 3, 2, 1. And everybody who hasn't done it yet, we're all just going to do it. And I'm going to move out from my couch. I thought I could dance here, but I'm like, look, did y'all see me being ridiculous? Because there's like a table and a couch. It's super awkward. No, I'm not going to do hip thrust anymore against the camera. I'm sorry. I'm like trying to stand up. This is my dance apparently. And my workout clothes because COVID and we all work from home now. Anybody with me? I'm like, this is now my work attire. I'm like, it's fine. I'm like kind of clean. It's cool. Just jumping on the Zoom. It's fine. Nobody wears makeup anymore, right? It's fine. Okay. Actually, no, for real. Savvy Minerals, if that's your passion, clean beauty. Savvy Minerals is something I think if that is one of your, like, if you love that, you should talk about it and you should also wear makeup. Like that would be awesome because then you can be, no, I'm being for real. Like Niccole laughing saying it. I like it, but for years I realized that I would be like teaching a savvy class tonight. And I would be like, look at me. And I would look gorgeous. And then the other 85 days in a row, this is how I looked. And then I'd be like, Savvy Minerals class tonight. And it would be like completely done. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I like to talk about it, but it's not one of my top ones because I obviously don't live it every day. It's not like what I'm doing every day. So I probably should be like lavender lip balm, lavender lip balms for me and you, right? Because that's more of what's going on. Okay, gave you enough time. Did y'all see the delay? It's 9:59. We're gonna do one more minute. I promise I'll let you go. Maybe we won't, maybe we will. We will see. 3, 2, 1, unmute yourselves and dance. Come on. I don't have a song. No one.
Baby shark doo 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 doo.
Yes.
Shark doo doo doo. Been doing that a lot with the grandkids.
Okay. Just because y'all are getting used to me. It's fine. Everybody on here. What's the last song I played? This is embarrassing. I was gonna say pull out the last. Everybody play the last song you played, and then we're really leaving. 1, 2, 3. Nobody? Why won't mine play? Well, mine won't even play. So I can't even participate. My kids were listening to Justin Bieber's gospel album really loud in my car. Like, don't just, Niccole, stop judging me. They want to have some kind of music. They want to like think they're cool. They're sick of listening to the same 18 million Christian songs over. So they were like, Avery's like, I heard that on Easter, some music dropped. And I'm like, I'm sure it did. Okay. And that didn't work out very well. But for next time, be prepared with your song and your dance moves. And everybody who's not smiling, I need you to be happy because we are about to have the most fun with our businesses ever. It's a new season. It's a season of release and of freedom and of excitement. And I want to say thank you so much to Niccole. Let's all give Niccole like a giant round of applause for creating resources that we're going to use and leading us through it because I sometimes just need somebody to help me be organized. And I know most of y'all do too. So thank you so much. We will see everybody back again in 2 weeks. I love that now you are typing in the chat your fun songs. And we will have a replay of this. Tracy, thank you so much for setting up the link for us and hosting alongside us. It's been a blast. Love you all. Niccole, anything else before we? No.
I just want to point out that we lost like 20 people at the end. Apparently not everyone loves dancing as much as we do. So I love you all. Thanks for having the We Can Roll It crew join you tonight. Join us 420. We're going to get into the nitty gritty fun details about how to actually make this all work. So mark your calendars. Good night.